You tell me you're red.
I'm
Okay.
white. I'm white.
Okay, so early season prep, mind and body. And with the mind, what I start to do is I start to prepare my mind for skiing in the thought process of being on the snow again, right? And so there's a number of activities that you can do, and they don't have to take a long time, and most of them are pretty pleasant at that. And so the first one is read. So whatever ski books you have, you can read. And Canadian Ski Instructors Alliance, and some of them are a little bit older. So just this one, I might review it. This is the manual, older manual. They don't make a new one, but it just has a bunch of it talks skiing in here, and it talks about the skills and the movements that we have in skiing. And the second one it had was this one. It's called Science in Skiing, and they're relatively easy reads, and it uses words about skiing. And so if I'm in a session or if I'm teaching somebody else, it just helps my brain do it. This is one we used last year when we were on our camps in Jasper last spring. And Next Level Skier, my friend Paul Cunningham put this book together. And so this is great because there's a lot of and this is my fourth point, visualizations, or he's got lots of pictures. So you can start to see somebody ski, right? So this is part of important. And maybe it's just a minute here when you're having breakfast or lunch or dinner or something. So do that. The next one is point number 2 is watch some videos. And usually on these sessions, sometimes I bring in some videos, and I did last time. I haven't this time, but watch some videos, and particularly the ones I like are, I get pretty picky with my visualization. I want to watch the people that are doing the right moves. So I like Richie Berger, and I like Valentina Franhauser. And Valentina is, she's on Instagram. Richie Berger has a lot of stuff on YouTube, but Richie Berger has some stuff that's not super high end, but it's nice and it's flowing, and he's very elegant in his skiing. So you can watch that, and you can put your mind in his body and say, okay, that's the movement patterns, and then it establishes or makes your brain prepare to send the electrical signals to your muscles when you're on the snow, so that you can emulate or copy the same things that Richie was doing. Okay, so those are a couple of things. And then the next one, this is also in Paul's book, but a friend of mine who unfortunately passed away this past winter, Ron LeMaster. I'm sure Ron has a couple of books as well. Ron LeMaster has some great books to read. They're a little bit more in depth, but Ron LeMaster, he was the master of photo montages. So what I like to see is when I look at a photo montage here, I can then say, okay, when I'm in that spot or when I'm in this spot over here, what's the kind of movement that I'm making? How did it feel like last year, or what can I feel like? And then I can kind of move that way through. So these give me a little bit of an idea. Again, another one of Ron LeMaster's videos, and so you can kind of see like how much he bends his legs at this point here. It's kind of nice, right? And you can see that his upper body is facing us, and then he's still facing us, but the legs are turned across the hill. He's facing us, and the legs are starting to turn back towards us, right? Okay. So Ron LeMaster signed that for me and gave those ones to me. So those are some great ways. So those are also in Paul Cunningham's books. And then when you're looking at these things or you're reading, I recommend maybe trying, and I do this, I sit there and maybe you can close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, and you can kind of imagine yourself up on a run, your favorite run, and it's groomed in the snow. And then you can just kind of at the same time, and you just see yourself moving down. So you start to prepare yourself and you prepare your mind for that. Okay. So if you want to take the photo, or this will be recorded. So this is the kind of my notes, right? So there's my 4 points, right, with the visualization and so forth on the way down. All right. Okay. The next thing is, and often this is a little bit more. We always think about this a little bit more, and this is preparing our body. And the first thing I want to do is when we prepare our body. Often we think, geez, I have to go to the gym and I have to pump up some weight, that kind of thing, right? Okay, but like we prepare our mind and we get our mind ready and aware for the winter, body awareness is also important. And body awareness is not just strictly for skiing, but being aware of what your body does or where your body is or your body parts at any particular moment. And not only where they are, but what you feel. So your fingertips have a lot of feeling in them. Where's your elbow? And being aware of your body, because when you ski, you have to move it and you have to be aware of it. And there's feedback from the snow. There's more pressure or less pressure. There's powder snow, there's harder snow. And so you have to manage that. So you've got to know where your hands are at all times. You've got to know where your feet are at all times. You have to learn to be aware. I was talking to my daughter today, and she was walking home from school. She goes to school in Hamilton, and it was raining. And she says, I was going across this crosswalk, and these two guys were coming towards me, and had these big umbrellas, and they didn't move out of the way. And they almost hit her, and there was, the big puddle. They're not body aware. They're not aware of their physical presence or their umbrellas are present. So being body aware is not just, it's what you touch, it's what you control. So when you're body aware, you have your ski poles, where the tips of your ski poles are, and where the tip and tail of your skis are, and how your boots feel, right? And so just sitting there, what shoes are you on? What are they touching? What are your hands touching, right? Can you, circle your head and tap your stomach? Are you aware of your kind of physical presence at all times? And I think that's really important, because when you're skiing, you're kind of this body in space gliding down the hill. You need to be body aware. And that's so my message is that learn to be aware at all times. And then be awake. So this is nothing. Be awake to where your body parts are, and what you're doing, and what you're touching, and what you're feeling. So awaken your muscles. Like what's your muscles like? I'm aware of my hand, but this is the muscle that is making that movement, or what muscles are making the movements to get a reaction or a movement, to move my toe, right? Or to move my upper body, to turn, things like that. Awaken your nerves. So when you rub your hands across a countertop and you feel a grain of sugar, you're awakened to those senses. So be awakened to your nerves. What are you feeling on the bottom of your feet, or your calves, or your shins? Do you feel the wind press against your coat and your chest when you're going fast? Do you feel it catch your arms when you hold your arms out? Do you feel the snow pulling at your feet? All of a sudden there's no resistance and it's icy and your feet take off. Are you aware? So these are things, and these happen in every day too. So if we think of them every day, or in our everyday activities or sports, these help.
Hey, Otto, I really, that's really interesting expression. I feel that most of Chinese may have a similar experience, that we focus too much on our brain, and sometimes we ignore our body, and we focus too much on the external acceptance in terms of right or wrong, but we forgot our body has a wisdom. So I feel when you describe how do you feel when you ski, I feel it's like a vivid life just like an artificial flower versus a real flower. That's really interesting. I remember that when I first ski with you, you said that you need to feel your feet, and there are millions of nerves there, and you need to feel it, you need to react on it. And at that time, I wasn't really much aware of my feet, and I was really focusing on did I do it right or wrong, right? And it was 2 years ago. I think I mentioned to you while I was hiking in the mountain, I suddenly feel the softness and the hardness of the ground beneath me. And that moment, I feel that, oh, I got the feeling of my body back. That's really amazing. And I think I remember last year when we were, it was April this year, last season, that we had the indoor session. We talk about, the body awareness and how to build a circle in between your nerves, your brain cells with your feeling beneath your feet. That is really interesting. I was really, in the past, when I do all these exercises, I was much focusing on the muscle, the training, but I wasn't really much aware about the circles in between your brain cells, in between and beneath your feet. As long as I build such a circus connections, I feel more of my body, I feel more of my nerve, I feel all the senses are really vivid and alive.
Yeah, and that's we're a physical being, and sometimes we make moves, and if you make a movement on the hill, I could tell you yes, that's right, or no, that's wrong. But ultimately, you need to understand if I make this movement and Otto says that's right, it feels like this. And this happens to my skis. Or if I don't, so you start to understand the consequences of these movements. And that comes from a physical place and a connection. And to make the movements, it's body aware. Sometimes it's my I can feel how much movement I make with my muscle, or if I turn my hand, or how much pressure. And so that's what I say, awaken your muscles and awaken your nerves, and know your physical surroundings. And when we walk on the street, we can feel if we're walking on gravel, or if we're walking on cobblestones or bricks or pavement or grass. And so that's a good thing if you can feel those things. Feel the different snow conditions, and then feel how the snow conditions, when you turn your feet or when you add some angle to the edge, you edge a little bit more, or you push down. And so we can prepare for the winter by being aware of the movements that we make and our nerves, and apply them to that physical surroundings, those kind of things. So that's why I say, be body aware with everything you do, right? And know your body, and know what it can do and it can't do. I'm a firm believer, you can be a great skier. You don't have to be, the most perfect human specimen. You don't have to have a lot of muscles and a lot of strength and a lot of agility. Of course, having physical dexterity and some strength and mobility, you will become a better skier. But I believe that if we're aware of our body, we know how to use our own body. We're all slightly different. And Lynn's a little slighter than me, and I'm taller, and some people are shorter, and some people are wider. But how we use our body, if we know how to use our body, it'll be phenomenal. So here's my notes on that, right? So, I just kind of, some people take pictures of these things. I was in a session and a guy did this, and I thought, oh, that's really cool, because now I have some notes of what he talked about, and I can read it a little bit later. Okay. And this will be recorded, so Lynn will have that. Okay. Now I'm going to become, body awareness is one, knowing our body. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is our muscles, our muscular structure. And typically, I think a lot of skiers, a lot of ski instructors, and this isn't everybody by any chance, but a lot of people, they go to a place of the gym. They want to do some strength training. They want to do some weight. And there's nothing wrong with doing weights. All right. So it's good to be stronger, right? We don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. We don't have to be the biggest, strongest guy in the gym, and you shouldn't be intimidated going into the gym if there's the big, strong guys there. Forget it. Like, there's strength in being lean too. If you've got a slight body, we don't need to be muscle bound. All right. But we need a certain amount of strength. And sometimes strength comes from just our everyday activities. If you garden or if you work in a more physical type of job, you're going to gain some strength. If you do a lot of other sporting activities, you're going to gain some strength. And that's okay too. Okay. So, but strength also helps with endurance, right? And endurance is important because the days are long when we're out there skiing, and sometimes when we want to go skiing, we want to start early and we want to ski all day. Some people like to ski just for a couple of hours, some people half a day, some people a full day. But strength gives you endurance. Strength gives you endurance in a ski run. You don't have to stop after 10 or 20 turns. You can ski half the run, or it gives you the ability to ski in some tougher snow conditions or some mogul. So endurance helps with that. Strength also, if we train it right, helps us with quickness. Because sometimes in skiing, we want to make a quick move. Now, it doesn't take a lot of strength to turn our skis, but sometimes we don't want to be muscle bound where we're slow. Skiing can be a quick sport. If you're in bumps, sometimes you have to make a couple of quick turns, or if you're going down a steep, you want to make a quick turn, or you're going down a little trail, you want to make a quick turn. So you want some strength with quickness. Okay. Now there's different, there's weights. I talked about weights. There's also plyometrics, and plyometrics is more where you use your body weight to gain strength and quickness, and strength for endurance, a longer kind of strength things. But one thing I recommend, if you're not really familiar with weights and going to the gym, I think it's important that you have a trainer and somebody helps you do it correctly. Because as much as, especially if you're starting to use bigger and bigger weights, or you're doing, free weights where there's deadlifting and things like that, you want to make sure you use it correctly, because you can hurt yourself as well. All right. So get professional help. All right. Now, there's something at the bottom of this page that I want you to focus on. Right. The very bottom, it's the most important thing that I'm going to talk about today. Okay. So there weights, there's plyometrics, there's get professional help. That's not the bottom of the page. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Okay. So most of you are not professional athletes, working at the World Cup. So whatever you do, have fun doing it. If you're not have fun doing it, then stop doing it and find something that you have fun doing it, right? Because that's your life. Skiing is fun. So the activities that you do, the weights that you do, or the plyometrics that you do should be fun, so that you go skiing and have fun. All right. And I firmly believe that. And it's true. It's true for our kids. We don't want to push them, or, even the World Cup athletes, if they have a professional trainer, the trainer will say, okay, well, here's some core weights, but here's some fun stuff, and they'll change it up to keep it exciting. All right. So don't kill yourself out there. Make sure it's fun. Okay. Now, in my experience, this next topic area is one that will help you probably more than any become that graceful, quick skier on all types of snow. Okay. So I'm going to talk about agility. I got 2 pages on agility. Agility is the ability, and this comes from that body awareness, muscle awareness, nerve awareness, the quickness of body movements. So you have the ability to move your body around, all right? And to move your body, you you have to generate the speed. So basically, where you're planted on the earth, your base of support, your feet, you're pushing off the floor, the ground, the dirt, the earth, the snow, and you're moving your body somewhere. All right. And as you move, become body aware, right? Because there's an action and there's a reaction, or there's a result, or there's a quickness. Okay. Agility is stop and go. We are planting our feet and then we are moving. We're planting our feet and then we are moving. All right. So often agility involves stop and go. And when we ski, while we're sliding down the hill, we're moving from one side, we're stopping on one side, lateral, and we're moving over to another side. So it's stop over here and then go over here. But even though there is this forward momentum, there's this side to side stop and go, right? Or something I talk about is catch and release, right? So in moguls, in powder, I'm catching my body. My feet are going over here and my body's landing. I'm catching it. And then, oops, there's a release as I go over the mogul, or a release between turns, right? So there's that unweighting or that weightlessness between turns. So agility has those elements in it. And if I run laterally and I push off the ground, I'm pushing my weight is heavy on one of my feet, body aware. And then I move and there's a lightness as my body moves and it's suspended in the air and I catch myself. And a lot of sports have these attributes, right? There's a lot of lateral movements side to side. Sometimes it's slightly forward or slightly back. Sometimes it's forward and back. But if we want to emulate skiing, it's side to side. And then the mass or the body goes up and over, up and over. There's that lightness phase too. So if you can do agility with those things, I think it's really good. It is, we talk about hand-eye coordination. So, and that's body awareness. My eye knows where my hand is and I catch something, right? But in this case, it's eye-feet coordination. So it's where I'm placing my feet on the snow to catch my body. And that helps with visualization. If you visualize some of those photo montages, or I'm catching my body and then I'm moving it laterally over here, and I'm catching my body, and moving it laterally over here. When let's say I'm doing some lunges, I'm going to lunge from one side, I'm catching my body over on my right side, and then I'm catching it on my left side, and I'm catching on my right side, right? So that's agility. That's proprioception, where I'm moving through space and I'm aware of where my body is and how I'm catching myself. Okay, so that's that page, agility, right? Quickness, right? Body moves, base of support, all right? Oh, and now I've got some good stuff at the bottom of this one, right? Eye, feet, right there at the bottom. Catch that. Fun. All right. Agility is fun, and typically I lump agility into kind of some sports that I think are quite good. So in the last page I said fun. And when you do summertime sports or complementary sports in the wintertime, or if you're a weekend skier and you want to try to stay in shape and be ready for those days on the hill, complementary sports where you're moving your body back and forth and you're being body aware and you're being active and you're moving. And I don't have any, again, it's ones that are fun and they're geared towards you. And I just listed a few here, and you can ask me, and you can where your eyes look. I'm going to answer some of those questions. You've got some good questions in the chat box there. I'll give my little speech here, and then I'm going to address some of those based on that. So the exercises, some of the ones I've listed: skipping a rope. And there was a video I put out last year, and if people want it, of this guy who was an amazing skipper, and we talked about agility with him. Tennis is good because there's lateral movement. Pickleball, same lateral movement, not as much, but it's still good. And there's the hand-eye coordination with those ball sports. Skating, ice skating. So then you combine the skating movements with the sliding movements. Now I'm getting ready for skiing because I'm sliding on ice and I'm sliding on skiing. That's really good. Another couple of ball sports, and these ones are indoor. They're not affected by weather. Squash or racquetball. Inline skating in the summertime is good because, again, it's that sliding, the lateral movement. Or trail running. If we're running just in a straight line, that's okay. But if we're trail running where I actually have to place my feet and catch my mat, that's a little bit better. And I had a trainer that said if you want to emulate the muscle movement from skiing, you run up a slight hill and you run up backwards side to side because you're kind of pushing away. That emulates skiing. All right. So proprioception. Another one is, I talked about hand-eye coordination, and if you were on earlier, I think just to understand where your body is. When we look at our body, you can divide our body into quadrants: left side, right side, top side, bottom side, right? And if we watch a beginner skier go, and they're going to make a wedge, often they'll make the same movements with their hands. Their feet are doing a wedge like this, and their arms are effort because their brain doesn't know what to separate. But sometimes, if you pick up a sport like juggling, right, it's great for hand-eye coordination, but again, that helps with body awareness. So it's a little thing. You can buy these juggling balls online, and I guarantee you, if you do that and you can buy a little book or a little tutorial, and it's a 4 or 5 step process to learn how to juggle. And within a week, you can juggle and you can impress your friends. All right. But use the soft juggling balls like that. And then, you can juggle, but in front of the camera, I always fail. So try that. But that's a fun one. That's a fun one. And I think that's body awareness, and that helps you. Others are yoga and stretching. And I didn't have room enough on this page to put down fun at the bottom, but fun is our process. So there's a few things. You want me to do that again? I see people taking pictures. Just some good ideas, right? And when it comes to sports, it's your choice. And I, myself, I have a couple of core sports. You can't do everything. So I love cycling in the summer because it's aerobic fitness, and then I have some muscle strength, and it lasts all day, and you get the wind in my face. I love sometimes I go running or trail running. I love squash. That's my learning sport, right? So if you're learning how to ski, that's one over there. I have people teach me, and I'm battling it. Cross country skiing, I love that in the wintertime. So those are kind of, and then some just casual ones like swimming, but just have a few. And the ones I do are fun, right? I dropped snowboarding because snowboarding doesn't allow me to ski, and I prefer to ski. Takes too much of my ski time. But some people like to snowboard, so okay. And then aerobics, kind of. So I'm talking about the body. I'm talking about muscle strength. I'm talking about agility, and now I talk about aerobics. And aerobics is more of those. It's the lungs. It's the ability to uptake oxygen in your system. And the reason you want to have some aerobics is because it increases recovery. It increases the recovery from one day to the next day. If you're up just for the weekend and you ski all day one day and you're aerobically fit, you can recover overnight for the next day. If you're more aerobically fit, your run can last longer, or you can recover partway down a run quicker and then go again. If you're aerobically fit, it helps you with the altitude. And in Canada, some of the altitudes that we go at, I believe Marmot Basin starts at 1,700 meters. And a lot of the places that we ski go over 2,000 meters. And that's, a lot of people say it can be 1,500 to 1,700 meters where they feel the effects slightly of altitude over 2,000 meters. it can be quite a bit. So if you're aerobically fit, this typically will help you ski longer runs, recover faster. And if you're aerobically fit and you're doing all those activities, the one really good thing about that is you can eat more good food. Okay, and that's important. Okay, so when you go skiing, at the end of the day, you can go out for really nice, some really nice food, right? Jiaozi or charbin or shomai, things like that, right, Lynn?
饺子、馅儿饼、烧麦. Okay, yeah.
Okay, all right, you can eat all those good foods. All right,
Yeah.
so aerobics is things like cycling, you know, and it's when you're kind of going over that 40-45 minute time frame, and it doesn't have to be, you're not sprinting the whole time, but you're getting it's biking, running, swimming, cross country skiing. Okay, so there's the aerobic one, and a lot of people sometimes don't like the aerobic element to it, but that's always a good one to add to your, you know, your season prep kind of stuff. And then at the bottom there, the key fun tagline. All right, so those are all those elements, and that's kind of the end of the physicality side, and we'll get into some of our chat questions on those later. But I've got one more page on prep, and then just some information. Your first day back, it's coming up. Okay, some it's sooner, some it may be later, but every year we always have a first day of skiing, and it's usually, you know, 5, 6, 7 months since the last day we skied, right? And we've been wearing flip-flops, or you wear sliders, you know, your feet are lazy, and your feet they puff up outside of ski boots, and you know. So here's a couple of recommendations. Before you go skiing, put your ski boots on, do them up, wear them for 15 minutes, half an hour, tighten them up, do the power strap up, make sure you get the right socks on. Just get comfortable. Just the process of putting them on and taking them off, it just kind of gets you in that habit one more time. Check all your clothing. You know, make sure your base layers are suitable and ready. Your mid layers are suitable and ready, and that your outerwear still fits and is ready for the winter. Check the weather report. You know, the week prior to going, check the weather report. You know, if you're heading up to the mountain, it can be considerably colder up at altitude. And if we're typically in an office all the time and we haven't gone outside a lot in the fall, we're not acclimatized to the weather. So make sure you're prepared when you go up. While, you know, you might think if you're in Vancouver, it can be pretty warm, and then you go to the top of Whistler, it can be 15 or 20 degrees colder. And same in Edmonton, you go to the top of Jasper, and then have the wind on that compounds it. So check the weather report, and then make sure that your clothing that you take for the day matches. If you overdress, it's easy to take a layer off. If you underdress and you didn't bring the clothing, then that's where trouble gets you, right? You know, check that your pass or your lift ticket is ready to go. And then the most important thing I always find, you know, for the first day, you know, make a list, check it, but go early so that you're never feeling rushed, right? And for me, I don't like being rushed especially my first day. It always takes me just a little bit longer to put my boots on, to make sure I have the right clothes on, get my helmet on, get my gloves on. Is everything, you know, check your skis, make sure that, you know, if you've changed your boots, you've got to change the bindings on your skis. So it's easy just to check them, make sure everything is cleaned and ready to go. Okay, go early, don't rush. Okay, that's the first day. My important message there is don't rush. Okay, be prepared.
Yeah. Otto, did I tell you what happened to me last year? on my first day, I went to Whistler before, Blue Mountain opened. And I felt so happy. So I really enjoyed my skiing. It was a powder day. So I decided to go to Whistler Bowl on day one in the afternoon. And after, because before that I was traveling. So I was really exhausted, but I was so excited that I didn't realize that I was, energy was actually low, but my brain was so excited. So I fall and I tore my collateral ligaments. So the recovery actually took me 4 weeks. So until mid of January, I started again. But that is what happened to me last year on my day one at Whistler.
Right. Yeah. On your first day, I think that's a good point. Is you don't want to go to the steepest run or the most difficult snow conditions right off the bat. Stick somewhere, go cruising, get used to some speed. It takes a while just to kind of get the body to react properly. It takes some people it's a couple of runs. Some people, it's a day or two. And your body, and this is being body aware. Do what's best for you. Don't let your peers, your friends dictate. Oh, we're going up to the steepest part of the mountain. It looks really good, right? You got a whole season ahead of you. So do what's right for you, and know that, and stick to your guns on that, and say, hey, I'm going to make a run down here. I'll meet you back up top, right? So choose those things. Hey, I'm going to go back through this chat, and I'm just going to look through there.
So for whoever wants to ask questions, feel free to open your microphone and ask, or just raise your questions in the chat. And as everybody aware that Otto, I really appreciate you, Otto. You really enjoy helping us improve. That is why we had these online sessions. So if you can join this Otto's camp, you are welcome. If you couldn't join it, you're also welcome to join this online lecture, but feel free to share whoever might be interested. That will be really helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, I had another meeting. That's why we changed a little bit earlier. And maybe there's not as many people here. Richard Chong had a good note in there in the chat. He says, I think we have to be careful with training the right muscles. For example, quick snap versus power and lifting weights. Yes, that's why I say, if you're not used to weights, make sure you have a professional. You're not going to try to be quick with a large amount of weights. You might be quicker with a smaller amount of weights, or plyometrics is maybe quicker. But don't do something that you don't know. Always kind of refer to a professional. At another point, I just slipped my mind here. Richard Chong, where your eyes look is generally where you go. Not in skiing. In skiing, you've got to, when I talk about skiing, I think, and this is again being aware, I'm always scanning, right? So I'm going, I have a peripheral vision where, it's kind of, is there danger zone or way out in front? But I'm scanning to what my feet are, back and forth. And I work with my eyes as much as I work with my muscles. And the eyes are critical. I have to see the detail in the snow. I have to see if I'm skiing a groomed run, I see the lines in the grooming just in front of my feet, even when I'm skiing at speed. And then I look ahead and there's a roller, and then I come back to seeing the ground where I make the crossover, that kind of thing, right? So I'm always working with my eyes all the time. And I never stay in one spot. They're back and forth. Alex said, is mountain biking any good for skiing? I think, mountain biking depends what time. If you're downhill mountain biking, I think that works with base of support and gets you sliding in that. It's maybe not as good as ice skating or cross-country skiing, but it helps. And if you're having fun, more than anything else, I think it's really important. Know where your hands are, know where the wheels are, right? So always do that. For balance, angulation, and turning, yes, Richard's got a lot of good points in there. Is there any other questions? I think I've gone through there. If I've missed anything, you can either come online and raise your hand, or you can type into the chat. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So type away. In future lectures, we'll probably have kind of little tech talks. We can do things on ski technique, or tactics to ski powder, or tactics to ski bumps or steeps, things like that. So please feel free to let me know what you would like. And if you want to WeChat me, if you're not connected to me on WeChat, my WeChat is Ski with Otto. I'll just put that in there. I'll refer, and then Richard kind of clarified that. Oh, thanks for that, Richard. That's good. For example, in short term, we want him to face straight down the hill. Sure. Yeah, you want to basically, your body faces where you're going to go all the time. Absolutely, for sure. Okay. Hey, here's just, I have a little bit of an update information. It's not a big group, but if you spread the word, I had the first Jasper camp, December 10th to 12th at Marmot Basin. I had a lady talk to me, and she says, I have a son. You do a snowboarding camp? And I said, no, not at this point. But if we can find 4 more people for your son's 15 years old. So if we can find 4 more people, if you know 4 more people that want to do a snowboard camp, probably strong intermediate rider, I will organize a snowboard camp for them. So I'm trying to help her out. And then the next day she came back and she says, I want to join my son, but I'm a novice. And so she doesn't fit into kind of our groups that we have. But if you know people that are kind of transitioning from a green run into an easy blue run, and we find some people, we can make that another camp for her, a class for her as well. So I'm just trying to help them out. And if you know people, let us know so that we can get her kind of a good instructor and we can get them on their way. And Daniel said, can we have more movement analysis sessions? Sure, you like those? Specifically with kind of a lot of technical, like where the base of support is and where the feet are moving and how we react and how we turn our legs and those kind of things. I can do those, not a problem, not a problem. And those are good. Those are good sessions if you're trying to learn a little bit more about technique. It's good for your own skiing, but if you're preparing for a course, it helps understand kind of what to look at and when to look at it in a skier. Any other questions? Hi, Jerry. How are you? Can't see your face, but I recognize your name from last spring. How are you? How's Edmonton?
Good. I'm jealous of all those tutorials.
He's talking, but we can't hear.
Sorry. Okay. My headset. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I was saying I'm very jealous of you guys from Calgary and from BC, and you're so close, so much closer to the big mountains. Wait, we're gonna start our season in our tiny little snow valley sometime in November. It's in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, I think Marmot's opening in a couple of weeks too, but it's a little bit longer drive for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll see you December 10th. I'll bring my 2 girls.
Yeah. Hey, another question on there. Richard Chong said, Otto, do you do online video analysis of skiers? I have never put it out there. I know there are people that kind of, market it and try to do a business at it. Personally, I love teaching on the hill. I like being in the great outdoors and doing that. But if you really want me to look at your video and do some analysis, sure, send me a WeChat and I will work with you on that. I know that sometimes it's hard to get to my camps or to be with us. So I would be happy to help if you've got some recent video, whether it's, if right now it's from last year or you've got some coming up this winter. I would, for the people that are kind of connected to me one-on-one, it's not something I'm going to try to promote to the greater market. If it's, especially if people I've worked with in the past, it's happy to help you out. We can figure out that if they're, sometimes it's quick, but if it has to be longer, I'll look at a small fee for that too. But so Richard, if that works for you, just reach out to me. Ski with Otto on WeChat anytime. Yes, I would like to have that high level MA. Thank you. Or if you can let me know, I can find those 3-4 MA materials. What's MA? That's Daniel. What's MA stand for? Movement analysis. Sure. I think I can do our next session, Lynn, maybe should be on movement analysis. I can do that. And I can do, I can do a range. I can do some kind of strong and some intermediate skiers, break them down, and then we can kind of move up into some better skiers as well. We'll do a bit of that as well. Okay. And I'll use some terminology that you might hear when we talk to on the hill a little bit. All right. Otto, perhaps a subscription basis over a period of membership. Sure, Richard. Let's do something. You reach out to me and we'll figure something out there. Okay. We'll make a plan, a custom plan for you. No problem. So Jerry, where's that? Xiaohongshu?
Xiaohongshu is another Chinese social platform like WeChat, like some, Facebook. And I saw this Chinese, I think he's CSIA level 2 coach now, but he posted a picture with you. I captured, you were in the picture right away. Yeah, you're a celebrity for sure.
Yeah, I have a lot of, I'm on a lot of different platforms, but yeah, you can't keep up with them nowadays. There's so many. So yeah. Richard, you're helping me market. Perfect. You can be my marketing manager.
So Jerry, just to let you know that we are so lucky to have Otto because he used to be the CSA board chairperson and also head of the snow school, running all of this. And he trained, he trained the most level 4 in Whistler, and I think in the west of Canada. And so we are so lucky to have Otto with us because he went to China 6 years ago and he fell in love with China and also the food and everything.
Good food.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's retired, but he really dedicated in helping us Chinese students in making progress. I think the most interesting part is that we all have something really blocked us from improving. Sometimes can be self-critic, sometimes can be lack of body awareness. And Otto is really the person that help you to understand what is most important of skiing. And sometimes we have been trapped by so many right movement, but each individual are so different. So what Otto has done for us is actually have more analysis on the cause and effect and more focusing on the cause or more on the deeper side. So what happened last year, we do have a very young and ambitious guy, and he started at, turning, on parallel, and he has difficulties in have a hockey stop. But in the end, he challenged himself on the level 4 bumps, which quite impressive. So he's a jump star of the bump. But if you have the passion and if you have the guts, Otto is actually the one that helped us to make improvement. And we are so lucky. And he's actually the CSIA wall frame. And yeah, so we are so lucky to have him. So it's not just about Xiaohongshu, it's actually the master of all those pros. It's not, so that is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn, for that. Yeah, I like helping. I love teaching skiing, and I know there's a huge Chinese market, and it'd be nice to. I always like when somebody feels they've met with success, and it doesn't matter if it's success going down a bump run, or skiing powder for the first time, or making some good parallel turns, or getting your level 1, your 2, your 3. It'd be nice to see. I'd love to see Chinese level 4. And I think that the growth, from what I learned, Chinese students are amazing students and a very friendly people. And so I think Canadians are too. So it's my pleasure to be able to help you. Thank you, Lynn. Hey, just a couple of I needed to talk to Richard. I didn't. He hasn't helped me with my marketing. I'm doing my own marketing here. So just FYI with the camps, the first camp at Jasper, December 10th to 12th. I've got 2 spots left for adults and 2 for kids. So if you know of anybody that's kind of on the edge and they're thinking about it but they haven't committed, they should jump in there really quickly. I do have room in the later camp, 19th to 21st. That's good. And if anybody is looking, for a really unique experience to learn to race, to learn to ski gates program, I have limited spots on that one, and that's from December 13th to 18th, right? I know that's 6 days. If you can't make 6 days and you want something less, I'm flexible and happy to help customize anything to you. So there's a little bit of information, looking for some snowboarders, looking for some novice people, and then there's just some availability in those last camps there. Okay.
So the racing camp, there's no space now, right? So
no, the racing camp there is, yes. It's a small. I've got a couple of 3-4 spots left in there, but it is limited, and it is a really great way to train and to learn a little bit about gates, and it helps you with carving, right? It helps you with technique and understanding technique. You've got the visualization of the gate straight up, so you can see the angles quite well in a skier, and it's not subjective. It's quite objective in terms of it's time, so you can see performance based on time. Okay, it is just after 5. I've got an appointment at 5:30. I've got to run off to. Are you planning to host any camps in some icon resorts next year? I have Daniel. I have Panorama Camp, February 6th to 10th, which is I believe it's Icon Resort.
And also,
Okay.
Otto is planning to come to Blue Mountain for a camp, but it's organized by Nikita. And Panorama is part of Icon as well. So that is so far for this year what Otto is going to do with Icon, right?
Yeah, I have to check the numbers. If you're interested in Blue Mountain, there might be a spot there, but send me a WeChat and then I'll talk to Nikki and see if there's a fit there. There might be just one spot left, but Panorama, definitely I have some room there, and that's an Icon Resort, and that's a 5-day camp, right? And that's a beautiful training mountain. It's not too busy.
Yeah. And how about Mount Tremblant? Are you still planning of Mount Tremblant?
Yes, Mount Tremblant, which is the last week of January, first week of February. I have a couple of spots in that camp. That's not confirmed yet. That's also by another organizer. If you're interested in the one at Tremblant, and that's more for if you're level 2, yeah, you should be a level 2 and thinking about your level 3 or training for your level 3, because that's the organizer has decided that's what it is. But yes, we've got a couple of spots in that one. I've got to confirm it with the ski school director if we're allowed to go there, but I'm working on that. Last week of January, first week of February, 5-day Monday to Friday camp. Okay. I would have loved to have gone to Marmot Basin. My anxiety to do something after 2 years of COVID. I leaped into Europe, Revelstoke with North Toronto, plus 2 weeks in Tremblant. I hope to do the camp with you next season. Okay, Richard. Richard, you should come to Marmot Basin in April. That's the best. That's the best one. That's where we have the most fun. Springtime in the Rockies. Nothing better. Nothing better.
I will be there. So much fun.
Direct message. Richard, can you email me? Try that. That should work. I'll try to get yours. Okay. There's my email. If you would like, if you feel free to WeChat me or email me. And if you have any questions or you want to sign up for anything, not a problem. Okay. But I think, any other questions? Okay, going once, questions twice. Special shout out to Lynn again for being the host and organizing the groups. Thank you to everybody else for listening, joining in. Thank you for changing at the last moment, because I did pick up another appointment here at 5:30. Unfortunately, I couldn't change that. We'll work to get another date out for you, probably maybe in about a week's time, Lynn.
Yeah.
Maybe next Monday or Tuesday, we'll look at that again. Okay. And I think maybe on assessments, I'll start doing my homework, getting prepared for that.
Any questions and suggestions are welcome. Just send it in our WeChat group. So I think for whatever logistic discussions, we'll pretty much focus in the Otto's high performance camp. And for whoever in my WeChat group, 爱学的孩子, I'm going to share the same information about lectures, but it's not going to go into the details of logistic part of those camps. So yeah, you are welcome in both groups. Yeah.
All right.
So
until next week, or
next Monday.
Monday.
Okay.
Okay. I'll double check. I'm going to make a note to myself. Lynn, you and I'll organize that.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lynn. Have a good evening.
I promise that I'll, get some Chinese dumplings for you when I'm in Whistler.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. See you
Have a good
next
night, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. See you.